Good day, it's Althea from the Bible in 1 year. Today we spend time in Job 3, the fear of losing intimacy with God. The story of Job is a very shocking and miserable story of adversity, but there is so many lessons to learn from this book. It starts in chapter 1 that describes Job as a very wealthy man, blameless and upright, one who feared God with reverence, who abstains from and turns away from evil, because he honored God. From verse 6 we read about the angels and Satan that presents himself before the Lord. Satan means the one who is opposed. God pointed out his servant Job, saying, "My servant Job is blameless and upright. There is none like him." Satan does what he always does. He takes the truth and turns it into a question that sparks doubt in our minds. Satan proposed that Job only love God because God rewards him, and that if God takes away everything he has, Job will curse God. Satan challenged God by saying, "If you put forth your hand now and destroy all that Job has, he will surely curse you to your face." God allows Satan to go after Job. Within 1 day, Job lost everything: his wealth, his servants, and all his children. Job mourns the loss of his children, but he worshipped God. Verse 22 says, "He did not sin nor blame God." In chapter 2, Satan is before God again. God says in verse 3, "Have you considered and reflected on my servant Job? For there is none like him on the earth, blameless and upright man, one who fears God with reverence, and abstains from and turns away from evil because he honors God. Still, he maintains and holds tightly to his integrity, although you enticed me against him to destroy him without cause." Satan says it's only a matter of time. If you touch his bone and his flesh and severely afflict him, he will curse you. God allows Satan to strike Job with loathsome boils and agonizing painful sores from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. Job's wife said to him in verse 9, "Curse God and die." He replies with, "You speak as one of the spiritually foolish women speaks, ignorant and oblivious to God's will. Shall we indeed accept only good from God, and not also adversity and disaster?" In chapter 3, Job shows us that even a great man of faith can fall into depression and despair. He speaks out in a poem that cursed the day he was born and vent against the wisdom and plan of God for his life. He does not endorse the practice of sorcerers, but in his despair he called upon those who curse, to curse the day he was born. He thought death would be an immediate gain. It would be better to be dead, because he thought that the afterlife is a better place than to be alive. Job 35 verse 16 we read, "Job uselessly opened his mouth and multiplied words without knowledge, drawing the worthless conclusion that the righteous have no more advantage than the wicked." Later in chapter 38, God asked Job if he knows about all the things God did, like creating the earth and its foundations. "Have you entered and explored the springs of life, of sea? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you understood the expanse of the world?" We cannot possibly know and understand everything about God and God's ways. There are questions that will remain unanswered until we interchange the present with the eternal. In verse 23, Job feels that the wall of protection is replaced with a wall of suffering that hedges him in. In verse 25, Job says, "The things I greatly feared come upon me, and that of which I am afraid has come upon me." What Job feared wasn't to lose everything. He was concerned about his walk with God. He feels the reason for his torment was because he has lost God, lost his peace with God, lost and broken fellowship, friendship, and approval from God. David Guzik says, God allowed Job to continue in his life to teach a lesson to angelical beings, to teach special reliance upon God, to not regard the wisdom of man so much, to vindicate him before other men, to make him a lesson and an example for all ages, to give him more than he ever had before, as we will read at the end of this book. There is a lot more to the story, as we will read in the next coming weeks. As human beings, we do not have the capacity to understand all of God's creation and His plans and His wisdom. What is important is the way God sees us. According to chapter 2, verse 3, we need to answer the following questions. Are we blameless and upright? Do we fear God with reverence? Do we abstain from and turn away from evil because we honor God? Will we still maintain and hold tightly to integrity even in suffering? God is our Creator. He has the right to tell His story through our lives. God's heart for us is to give us the best. We might not understand or see the best now in affliction, but at the end of God's will, restore us with so much more. May you be blessed. Goodbye.